shit. Whoa, that is pretty crazy. Let's have another listen to that. That's actually pretty incredible. So today what we're doing is looking at this particular plugin, the silencer plugin from Black Salt Audio. And man, what a plugin they've designed here. There's a lot to go over about what's awesome about this plugin. We're going to do a shootout between this gate plugin versus a bunch of other gate plugins and kind of see the differences of what's going on and have a bit of a chat about, you know, what we're hearing in the differences between these plugins. And we'll do a comparison between all three. What I've done for this test is there's a gate on kick, snare, and the 3 toms. And the track you're hearing today is from the Cambridge royalty-free stem packs that you can get. I'll put a link to the artist down below, as well as where you can get those stems. So as you can see here, I've got silencer in on the top, then I've got the stock standard gate from Cubase, and then a Waves gate as well. And we can have a quick listen to all the differences. Let's just solo up kick. And then with silencer on, and what you can see silencer doing is as it plays through, all of these darker gray parts are the spill that it's getting rid of with the debleed function. You've got a dynamic controller here to try and pick up the threshold. You have a milliseconds here, and then how much reduction you want here. So how much gating. Now it's a very different interface to a typical gate. What we normally see is traditionally something more like this, or with Waves, very typically something like this, where we've got this gate and the dynamic threshold and stuff like that. But what they're doing here is a little bit different. What I love about this is they're giving us a tool that just does a job and serves a purpose. And not only does this plugin provide gating and expansion, it also has some presets for different drums. There's obviously some kind of algorithm stuff going on to retain the tonalities of each of these types of drums. So we've got kick, snare top, snare bottom, and toms. And then there's some stuff going on with the debleeder, which none of these other plugins have as well. Now, very, very clever to combine all of these things together to create what we're hearing. So if we go back in and have a listen, off, and you can hear that it's just doing a really great job of getting rid of any spill. Now, if I chuck on one of the other gates, this gate here is chopping off some of the sustain a lot more. And if I try to increase that sustain, I get a lot more of that snare by comparison to the silencer plugin. Same goes for this traditional wave style one. We're already getting some of that snare there, and quite a bit of the snare on that roll there. And if I try to get more aggressive with the threshold, it really changes the attack envelope to something I don't really like. So what I'm hearing just in solo is the silencer plugin is retaining more of the natural tonality of the drum, whilst using some algorithmic trickery or something to keep the sustain and the natural decay of the drum. Very, very clever stuff. What's even better is how it sounds in the mix. Now this is where stuff gets really, really crazy. Have a listen to this. Even with all the processing I have going on, reverb, parallel compression, stuff like that, I'm getting barely any spill. Turn it off. Now what I did is pick a song that has really crazy bleed in the snare mic from the hi-hats and just crazy bleed across the whole drum kit. So I tried to pick something that was going to be a challenge. And you can hear how much hi-hat's in that. And it's really doing a good job of getting rid of that whilst retaining the sustain of the drum kit there. that's actually pretty unreal. Now let's have a look at a different gate. So you can hear here, we're just getting a lot more of the hi-hat coming in from the tail end of the gate. If I change the release, it gets there, but then we have this like this kind of pumping of the hi-hats coming in still, where the D bleeder of the silencer kind of gets rid of that for you in the tail end of the snare. Very cool. And then let's have a listen to a traditional gate. So same thing again, you get that kind of pumping of the tail end of the hat bleeding in, whereas compared to silencer, you don't get that. So very cool stuff there. Let's have a listen to just kick and snare solo. And you can hear there immediately the difference. The combination of the D bleeder and then the gating processing that they have going on this plugin is going a long way to remove all of the cymbal bleed from the hi-hats and the other cymbals in the drum kit. Unbelievable what's going on so far here. And what's cool about it is it allows you to then further process things without worrying about the bleed. Let's go to the toms. Now this is where it gets really, really crazy. I feel like this plugin is actually probably one of the best gates for toms I've ever heard. Now the toms on this recording are pretty not great sounding. Now get a go at this. There's so much spill here. It's cutting all of that out. It's doing such a good job. And you can see the decay there. It's unreal. So let's have a listen to a different plugin. So you can hear the tail once again of that bleed. And the drums. So you can see the difference greatly there. And it's the same across all the toms. Let's go to somewhere where there's a fill, like right here. Now on these toms, you can just hear immediately how much bleed there is there. But this is where it gets kind of crazy. So that's silencer. Let's go to the standard gate. So you can see immediately how big a difference it makes across the individual tracks. Now, where this gets really crazy is when you combine all of the drums into the mix and you have this significant difference. Let's have a listen to that. can hear with the drums just isolated but completely together in their own mix that the silencer's doing a great job of kind of keeping the cymbals under control compared to the other two plugins. You get some pumping and some sizzle here and there on different snare and tom hits. Some of the bleed comes through and starts to influence it. But now let's have a listen, most importantly, in the context of the whole mix. You can really hear in this section that there's this pumping of cymbals that keeps coming in here and there in different sections of the song. Now you can really hear the difference between the silencer plugin and standard gate plugins. Like that debleeder is really adding just another level of reduction of those cymbals. Hence they're saying this is where cymbals go to die. I love that. And the thing that I actually love most about this plugin is something that adheres to the Black Salt Audio motto, which this plugin is just a plugin that works as an amazing tool. It's not trying to be another plugin. It's not trying to look like other plugins. It's doing its own thing and it works in this really functional way. This is a tool that I see myself reaching for all the time, whether it be in a studio mix on something like this, where there's challenging cymbal bleed, or very particularly, and this is how I actually came across this plugin, in live recordings that then need to be mixed. I recently had a band send me a live recording that was very challenging with spill, as live recordings always are, and I was looking for a gate plugin that was really going to help me out in the mix, and that's how I came across this Black Salt Audio plugin. I was looking for a better gate, and it's just awesome. It's just a really good plugin. Now there is just one thing you have to be careful of with it, and that is when you get to the debleeder, because of the inherent nature of a debleeder, it is actually turning down some of the high frequencies. So then what you have to do if you're using the debleeder is compensate for some of the brightness in your EQ to get some of that back if necessary. Now, I didn't find I needed to push the highs too much on these, but I did need to add some brightness back in different parts and then through parallel processing and stuff like that. So just be aware, it is going to dull things. That's kind of the nature of a debleeder. But apart from that, an amazing plugin. So if you're looking for a plugin that's going to help you remove cymbal bleed from snares and toms and kick drums and all the other bleed that might come from each of those instruments, this is a plugin that you should definitely take a look at. It's actually an amazing tool, and as I said, it's one that I will definitely be reaching for in the future. So props to the guys from Black Salt Audio. Once again, this isn't a sponsored video. This is just something that I came across and I thought that I should mention it to all of you as well. It's just something that you will probably find handy as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. I'm Mitch from the DIYRecordingstudio.com. I'll catch you soon.